The following is a paid program sponsored by the friends and partners of Faith Life Now.
I trust you've read my book or you're reading my book like these ladies are. I really want you to, because it's a story of freedom. It's a story of how I got freedom, and I know it'll help you in your walk, in your journey. We're going to be talking about the good girl, bad girl cycle and where you may be in that cycle, as well as at the end of the program, I'm going to take you skydiving with me. You're going to be free before we're finished today. Stay tuned.
Refreshing stories bringing hope. Real people, real life, bringing you more of what matters. Drenda.
Hey, how are you doing today? We're going to be talking about the good girl, bad girl syndrome. The syndrome we women all go through, trying to find our way through life, trying to find love, trying to find acceptance, and overcome some of the fears that we deal with, rejection and some of those things. And you have some shout outs from women, questions from women.
We do. I have Jamie from Ohio. She says, I watched the program today. It was great. I think the topics on the show are outstanding. As I was watching the program today, I thought I saw a young woman in the audience who may be teary-eyed. I know I was watching the program. I would love for encouraging words and scriptures to be offered to the viewing audience so that others who are struggling with those pains and rejections can be healed as well. I enjoy very much watching the program. Thank you for all you're doing. And then I have Danielle here from Minnesota. She says, for years now, I've battled with myself and God about love. I want to feel loved. I feel as though the love I give to others and the compassion I show those I care for is something that I deserve to experience, yet I don't know how to give love to myself. How can I grow to love myself like I love my loved ones in my life? How can I break the strongholds I've created by giving myself to men that aren't my husband? How can I become a confident woman of the Lord and set standards that aren't arrogant but are admirable? So she's struggling with loving herself. That's interesting because that's what we're talking about today, and we're talking about that bad girl, good girl fight that we have inside of us sometimes.
Yes, you know, I'm going to answer a lot of those questions today from my book, She Gets It. And the book, I wrote it out of my own journey, going through pain, at one point just feeling lost in my life and looking for someone, please give me the answers. And we have just email after email of women asking me, sharing with me that they're asking for acceptance, love, questioning. Here's a woman says, I'm questioning my existence on earth. I wish I was dead. Can't seem to do anything right, making a mess out of my life. I've lost my faith and I need truth.
Wow. Sounds a little bit like our story today that we have to share on the program.
Yes, I had the privilege of meeting a woman named Victoria, and Victoria shared with me that she had always been an optimistic, outgoing person until depression became her daily challenge. Take a look at her story.
I was battling it seemed like life in general. A bunch of events had just piled up, and it got to a point where all these things had started happening, and it hit me like a brick wall. I was in the store, I just started sweating, and I thought I was having a heart attack. I had chest pain, I had shortness of breath, I was getting so dizzy. And if I'd ever felt a point in my life where I felt like God took his hand off me, I felt that way.
Through a battery of tests and procedures, Victoria's doctors ruled out any problems with her heart. Instead, she was diagnosed with anxiety and depression and prescribed Xanax and Zoloft.
I was going through torment, complete torment in my mind, to where I didn't want to be by myself. I felt like I could not function. At the end of every appointment, they just write me a prescription for Zoloft or Xanax. And I just thought, I cannot take this stuff. I cannot live and be a mother. I cannot teach my children, medicated. And it's not that I'm not against doctors. I'm not against drugs. I'm not against antidepressants. But that's not what I wanted.
Victoria's suffering became so severe that she began to have thoughts of suicide.
There's no words to describe it, and when people would tell me, I know what you're feeling, say in my mind, I would think you have no idea.
Victoria spent much time in prayer and God's Word, searching for a miracle to replace the prescriptions. Around the same time, a good friend told Victoria about a new TV show and thought it might encourage her. Victoria tuned into Drenda, discovered help, and quickly became a regular viewer.
I have been watching the Drenda show since it's been on for the last year. And it was just a process of watching your show. The one on depression, I watched it more than once, and it did ease a lot. And once the weight lifted, it was just like, I don't have to live depressed. I can be excited about what God's going to do, and I'm completely, completely free.
Victoria's story is why I do what I do, because I know there are women out there just like I was who are hurting, who are searching for love and approval. And you know what I've found is you're not going to find that love in the glamour world. You're not going to find that approval there. You're not going to find the answers that you're searching for in performance and all these different things that try to promise us a life of joy, a life of love, fulfillment. And I went through this journey most of my life, and so I share all of that in my book.
That's right.
Because I want women to get this. I really do. That's why I call it She Gets It.
Yes.
Because I want you to get it. I don't want you to go through so much of what I had to battle trying to find the answers. There are answers. They really are there.
Yes.
At one point I was so lost, though, I thought, does love even exist? I was like Victoria. I got to the place where I was suicidal as well. I never attempted, but contemplated and thought my life's not worth living. No one really understands me. No one truly loves me. I can remember having thoughts, driving in a car, just throw the door open and jump out. And, you know, the enemy wants to destroy our lives.
That's
I want
right.
to save women's lives, and I really appreciate all of you that work with me to do that. It's such an important thing that we partner together to reach those women before the enemy reaches them and brings their life to an end like he tried to do in Victoria's life.
I've given this book to a few people, and I've also read it 3 times myself because it's so, you need to go back and reread and remember, oh, when I'm going through this, here's an answer. But I like what you say here, telling your story. You tell your story throughout the book. So even though you're my mom, I learn new things about you every day, and as I read this book. But you said, I gave up trying to be good and sought pleasure and fun because being good hadn't made you happy yet. You were striving and trying to be perfect. You had tried the lifestyle of the good girl and found it did not satisfy you. So then you tried to be the bad girl, but that didn't take long to discover that that didn't answer your inner longings either. And all that brought was guilt and shame, followed by short-lived attempts to going back to being good again. So can you explain what exactly is the good girl, bad girl syndrome?
Yes, I share this in the book. It's where you try so hard to be good, but you can't keep the performance up. You know, as a young woman, I was the straight A student. I was the honor student, the valedictorian. Anything and everything I could do, I was working to get approval. And there's a place where you're performing to get approval, and you're just trying to make things work, but you can never do a perfect performance. And so what happens when you fail at that performance, you try hard to be good, you fail to achieve, then you feel guilty. You feel like you are just worthless because you made a mistake. You did something wrong. You didn't reach that pinnacle you tried to stay on. And so then you feel guilty, and then you give up. You give up and you say, forget it, I can't be good, I've tried it, and then you're bad. You just decide to be bad, and then you feel guilty for being bad.
I think we do this with dieting a lot,
yes,
don't we?
Oh, we do it so many things
I've already
as
eaten
women.
something bad today,
yeah,
so I'm just going to go all out bad.
Oh, ladies, we do it with dieting, we do it with relationships,
Yes.
we do it with friendships, all these situations. And then once we feel so guilty, we're down. If we get some inspiration, we'll try to get back up, recommit, and try hard to be good again. And this syndrome just keeps cycling again, where you just totally, feel worthless at times, where you feel like, I'm just the worst mother in the world. I'm the worst parent. I'm the worst spouse. Nobody could possibly love me. And this self-talk we have, a lot of times is negative. It's negative thoughts. And it goes back to things that have happened in our life where we believed a lie about ourselves, or about our worth.
That's good.
And there's a difference between performing for love and receiving love. Such a difference.
I've seen people go through this downward spiral on this syndrome, and they just keep going around, but it takes you down. It doesn't stay stationary. It takes you down farther into the depths of depression or suicide or those types of things.
And the good girl and the bad girl are taking their cues. They're both looking for love and acceptance, but they're taking their cues from different sources. So when you're the good girl, you're performing, and maybe you do that with religion. You're going to church, you're trying to volunteer to do everything, be everything. It's not so much something you're enjoying as much as you're performing. And so you're trying very hard. Religion doesn't answer that need either. Or if you're the bad girl, you're taking your cue from, you know what, I'm just going to do what feels good. I'm going to use someone before they use me. I'm going to have the attitude that, you know, I'll use my charms, I'll use my feminine ability, whether it's, you know, women get into prostitution that do this. They use their sexual favors to try to get what they want. They learn to manipulate and control things. Yes, and it's all still about trying to get love, trying to get acceptance, looking for approval, and performing or choosing to perform a different way. You know, you can perform for religion, or you can perform to be the goody. I was the goody two-shoes growing up, but there came a point, you know, and I was talking to one girl. She said to me, you know, I was dating someone, I was trying to be good, and I had a good relationship. I wasn't doing anything sinful in the dating relationship. My mom came to me one day and said, you know, make sure you don't wear any of my things. I don't want to catch anything from you. And this girl made a decision when her mother said that, you know what? I can't be good. I'm trying to be good, and she still thinks I'm bad. So I might as well be the bad girl, since everybody expects that anyway. And so sometimes it's expectations people have about our lives. So we're going to talk more about that in just a little bit, but I really want you to get this book. I want you to get this resource, because I know it will change your life. I do the same thing. I mean, I go back and read it too, and it speaks to me over and over, because I believe God helped me write this.
Drenda's put together a special offer for today's viewers that includes her hardback book, She Gets It, and her stirring message on CD, Buck the System, all for only $25. This is one book women of all ages are talking about.
She Gets It changed the way I viewed what society says. It freed me.
Finally, some of the answers I've been looking for, and she gets it.
In this straightforward hardback book, Drenda utilizes a refreshing style to talk about marriage, intimacy, friends, money, and family relationships. The negative messages of today's culture are turned upside down as Drenda exposes the 11 lies that hold women hostage in She Gets It. Also included is Drenda's stirring message titled Buck the System. You'll be motivated to look at life a little different once you listen to this message. This powerful CD will help you overcome the status quo attitude, discover the system God designed. For your gift of just $25, we'll rush today's offer to your home. Call, write, or go online today. If you'd like Drenda to speak at your next conference or event, just call, write, or go to drenda.com and leave your information.
Sometimes life isn't easy and becomes difficult to walk alone. Drenda understands and wants to help. That's why she has caring partners standing by, ready to pray with you. No matter what you're facing, there is hope.
We're all looking for that love, really an intimacy. if you will, to know that we're valuable to someone and that we're worthy of love. I know recently I saw that a celebrity, she said, my biggest fear is that I'm going to get to the end of my life and find out that what I feared all along is true, and that is that I am unlovable. And I thought that was so sad, because I think deep in each of us, we're looking for an affirmation of our value. And when relationships break up, divorce, and all kinds of situations that come out of the earth curse that I talk about in my book, you can read it there, where I talk about the earth curse and how it's broke up the relationship between men and women, and what we're both looking for in relationship, and how we don't find it because we don't understand the breakdown. When I think about that value, though, Amy, that we're looking for, how religion can't give it. Religion's not real intimacy. Now, a relationship with God is, but religion gives you a bunch of do's, don'ts, rules.
They're really impossible to live up to.
Yeah, so the good girl is suppressing her appetites. The bad girl just goes and fulfills them. She doesn't dream about the affair. She doesn't have an emotional affair. She has the affair. But the good girl is having an affair in her mind, but she's just suppressing.
Right.
But she's
And she's
having
still
fantasies
unhappy.
or things, but she's still unhappy.
I would say I probably tend toward the performance side, to perform for identity. And I like what you say here in this book. You say it goes back to the earth curse, and it says, I still want love, but I just suppress it. My standard is a hard taskmaster, and when my performance falls short, I'm stripped of my dignity and my self-worth. So I'm constantly reminded that I'm a failure, that my ability, my looks, or whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve always falls short of the perfect, the ideal. And I can never do it good enough or be good enough to reach perfection. As I keep striving and failing to reach the mark, the only recourse I have is to find faults in other people, in fellow females, and point out their shortcomings. By comparing myself to them, I look and feel so much better. And that's why religious or good girls take pride in judging bad girls. And bad girls who've been converted over to the religious side make the best judges, right? Because they have a lot more to cover.
Right.
So I like that. And what are some of the symptoms of the bad girl then on the other side of the spectrum? We see the judgmental side on the good girl.
Well, the bad girl says, and let me say, I don't see you as bad or girl. A bad or good girl. What I'm trying to say is, we have these judgments, and we think these women are bad because they do these things. These women are good because they do these things. But the bad girl, just what she's doing is, if you're in that cycle, that syndrome, and you look at it like, I'm just going to do what's good for the moment. You don't think about the consequences. You're not thinking about if I'm having all these relationships, that there's any consequence, there's any pain to this, there's any hurt. You kind of mask your pain by just hardening your heart. So the bad girl, the girl in that syndrome, she's hardened her heart. She's living for self. She can be very self-centered, selfish, whereas the good girl may be laying her life down for everybody. She may be performing and working and the martyr and doing, and she may have no time to herself. But the bad girl says, hey, I'm having fun. I'm living for today. Go for it.
Now, how do the good girl and the bad girl, if you will, view each other?
Oh, they're judgmental of each other, critical. The good girl's performing. She looks at the bad girl and thinks, judgmental criticism. And even in the book of Isaiah, it talks about the women of the church being haughty. I share that in my book, where the women of Zion, it says that they toss their head back and they look down their nose at the other girls, and they judge them, and they're haughty and they're self-centered. So both of these women are focusing on self. They're both inwardly looking at a reason to be valuable, a way to become valuable, whether it's through performance or whether it's through having a good time and attracting the guys, using their charm and partying and doing whatever they want to do. So they're both in trouble. And my mom always used to tell me, selfishness produces loneliness. Anytime we just live to perform, to get someone to love us, we've got to find a love that's deeper, that's beyond performance, and it's receiving love. This is one of the things I talk about. Religion doesn't answer it. Religion is man's quest for God. The gospel is the Savior God seeking lost men. Religion is mandate. The gospel is the gift of God. Religion is the story of what a sinful man tries to do for a holy God. The gospel is the story of what a holy God has done for sinful men.
I like that.
Religion is good views. The gospel is good news. I have a lot of little quippy quotes through here of people that say great things. I didn't say that. Ron Gustafson said that. So, you know, this resource is great. It will really help you. And I go through all the different things that women deal with in their life, intimacy, marriage, children, your dreams, what happens when you lose a dream, how you refine that, how you get that back again. We'll be right back.
You're invited to join Drenda right after today's show for an exclusive live webinar. Just go to Drenda.com and click on the webinar banner. Drenda's put together a special offer for today's viewers that includes her hardback book, She Gets It, and her stirring message on CD, Buck the System, all for only $25. This is one book women of all ages are talking about.
She Gets It changed the way I viewed what society says. It freed me.
Finally, some of the answers I've been looking for, and she gets it.
In this straightforward hardback book, Drenda utilizes a refreshing style to talk about marriage, intimacy, friends, money, and family relationships. The negative messages of today's culture are turned upside down as Drenda exposes the 11 lies that hold women hostage in She Gets It. Also included is Drenda's stirring message titled Buck the System. You'll be motivated to look at life a little different once you listen to this message. This powerful CD will help you overcome the status quo attitude, discover the system God designed. For your gift of just $25, we'll rush today's offer to your home. Call, write, or go online today.
I put so much of my journey, over 40 years of my learning and my pain and my freedom in this book, and I really want you to get it. I think that it will make all the difference. If it doesn't, you can let me know about it, all right? But I've had so many women tell me it has made an amazing difference in their life.
Yes, and living a genuine, authentic life. You had an experience back in college that is really profound, and it changed your life. Can you maybe just read it from your book, the vision or the dream that you had when you were young?
When I discovered God's love, you know, pain seeks pleasure. And we were talking earlier about the good girl, bad girl. Bad girl is seeking pleasure because she's in pain. And we do that as people. We try to find an escape. So when I was in college, I'd given my life to the Lord. I had a dream that's been very significant, and it's why I do what I do. It's why I do this program. It's why I wrote this book. And I'll just read it, Amy, from the book. As a college student, early one morning, I had a dream that is as vivid in my mind today as it was back then. I was lying on a dirty floor in a windowless room and surrounded by many women who were missing body parts, some their arms, others legs, and some were even missing from their torso down. We were locked in an old house that was filled with the constant moans and groans of hurting women. The agony was intense and the darkness very grave. All I heard were sighs, moans, and deep sobbing. No one spoke words. There were so many sobs reverberating in the house that I could hear nothing else. It was horrific, and I desperately wanted to get up and do something about it. But I was missing my legs from the knees down, and I couldn't do anything. I began to cry out to God for deliverance from the misery. As I did, I surrendered myself to God and began to worship Him. I tried to sit up to praise Him. It was a struggle, but as I did, my legs began to grow out and become whole. I rose to my feet and began to try to lift others up. The women around me began to heal as well and rise up too. As one woman after another lifted the woman next to them, we all became whole and stood rejoicing together. The darkness was replaced with a great light, and the sorrow was turned into dancing. And that's the vision that I have for women, and that's what happened that day. And that, Amy, recently I had the opportunity to go skydiving. And I have to say, this journey that God has given me, He's bestowed on me beauty for ashes. He wants to do the same for you.
That's right.
I went skydiving, and the way I could describe it is the greatest freedom I have ever experienced.
Yes.
I felt like a bird flying through the air. I felt light as a feather. I didn't feel like I was actually, like a fear. See, we live in fear all the time, but skydiving, jumping out, you're just flying. You're flying, you're floating.
Yes.
It's awesome. It's an awesome experience. It is. And, when they asked me, what does it feel like? I said, I feel freedom. It feels freedom. I love freedom, because that's exactly the joy, the freedom that God has for us, and that's what I felt as I'm falling through the sky. But, you're just falling for a little bit, but the speed of the plane is moving about as quick as the fall itself, so you don't really feel like you're falling. You feel like you're floating. And then you see the scenery. It's beautiful.
It's a gorgeous
That's
view.
the freedom God has for you, to be able to see that view, to see the beauty of life, to see the beauty in you, not to see your pain, not to see yourself as inadequate and missing out and unworthy and unvaluable. But God sees you as a person of great dignity, beauty, and Jesus died for you to bring you honor. He died so you could have a relationship, so you could always be the good girl, because in His eyes, it's not religion, it's relationship. And that relationship brought Victoria freedom. It's brought me freedom. And I want to thank the women that are working with me. I want to thank you because you're helping bring freedom to others. Yes. Thank you for partnering with me. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. And today, if you're hurting, you're in pain, I would tell you, don't try to escape from the pain by going after some pleasure or sin that's going to cause you deeper guilt, deeper sorrow, but instead turn to God. He loves you. He's for you. I share with you how to do that, and then how to walk it out after you do that, because with freedom, you've got to renew your mind. There's things about the earth curse you need to know that are in my material. There's things about how to walk this out in your marriage, in intimacy, with your children, how to raise your family. I cover my 40 years of journey in this book, and I just want to thank you for letting me share this time with you today. Be free. God has given you freedom.
That's right.
If you're one of those broken women that's missing part of your body, just like I was, just like that dream I had, God has a way to restore it. He can grow that. He can change that. He's a miracle working God. I love you. I'm for you. God is for you, even more importantly. And if God be for you, who can be against you? Thanks for being with me today.
That's right.
You're invited to join Drenda right after today's show for an exclusive live webinar. Just go to Drenda.com and click on the webinar banner. You'll get in on all the conversation, and Drenda would love to have your questions and comments. Join viewers from around the globe for lively discussion, plus an encouraging word from Drenda. Be a part of this exciting event. Go to Drenda.com and click on the live webinar banner. Ladies, it's time to start making plans for the next Ladies' Night Out with Drenda Keesee on Tuesday, April 23rd at 7 p.m. Invite a friend and come see what all the buzz is about. It kicks off at 6 p.m. with hors d'oeuvres and a time to fellowship. Then at 7 p.m., a powerful word from Pastor Drenda. Kick back, relax, and enjoy warm conversation and special music. Childcare is provided. We promise it'll be a great night to remember. This has been a paid program sponsored by the friends and partners of Faith Life Now.